Los niños de aquí creen que son invencibles. Todavía no sienten el peligro. Puerto San Carlos is a fishing community. Over 50% of the population depend on Magdalena Bay for their livelihood, and yet fishing only brings in around $340 per month. Not enough to cover a family's basic needs. Today marks the start of the geoduck season in Puerto San Carlos. The fishers here have just 5 days to fill their quota for the clam, worth more than 3 times their usual catch. Given the value of the geoduck, known here as the Generosa, and how strictly these 5 days are monitored, there is not a minute to spare. Diving, and diving for the geoduck, is inherently risky. But this race to fish creates added incentive to throw caution to the wind. Much of this equipment hasn't been used since the last geoduck harvest, and pieces are missing or broken. If these fishers are not able to get their equipment functioning, they may lose a precious day of geoduck fishing. Or worse, if their equipment fails while a diver is underwater, the diver may lose their life, as surfacing quickly can cause a deadly phenomenon known as the bends. With so much money at stake, the fishers are willing to depend on jury-rigged solutions. These solutions included lighting a glove on fire to dry out a potentially flooded generator. We watched them fix the oxygen motor, the air hose, and the pressure gun used to unearth the mollusks from the muddy bottom. Instead of scuba, the fishers here use a different method known as hookah diving. Hookah diving consists of a gas-powered air compressor that delivers air through a long hose to the diver underwater. And even with proper training, hookah diving presents some unique risks for the divers, such as carbon monoxide poisoning from the boat exhaust, or having the air compressor fail while the diver is underwater. He descends, hoping the equipment functions properly. Five hours later, the harvest begins to appear at the surface. As we tasted the catch, we reflected on how valuable each bite is, and wondered where the rest of it would end up. Geoducks landed across all locations in Mexico are shipped to Ensenada, where they're packed and processed for exportation through LAX International Airport. A single live geoduck can be sold upwards of $150 per pound. The processors in Mexico have monopoly power regarding prices paid for the geoduck. Due to this, fishermen receive just $2 to $4 per pound. Despite the immense value of the geoduck and how expensive they are in restaurants, hardly any of that wealth trickles back to the fishers. After passing a size requirement and quota inspection, the fishers have successfully completed 1 day of geoduck fishing. The regulations are in place for a reason. Roughly 18,000 small boats are operating in an area that can only support around 12,000. Not only is this leading to ecological damage, but the fishermen who depend on this resource are working harder and taking more risks to catch fewer fish. While the demand for the geoduck requires fisheries to restrict their catch or risk the extinction of the species, the way the restrictions are currently constructed places all risk on the fishers. We returned to town with the day's harvest, but the happy reunion was fleeting. On the single day, over 20 fishers required hospitalization due to the risks of hookah diving. One of our guides learned that his friend stayed at a depth of 30 meters for 5 hours collecting geoducks, and when he surfaced, suffered a severe case of the bends. Unfortunately, this led to his death. He was not alone. This happens every year, during every day of the season. These fishers have found themselves in a lose-lose situation. They are vilified by environmental groups for fishing threatened species, but the rules in place force them to risk their lives to make a living and provide for their families. There must be a better way.